All right. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachah Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is just various topics. Today's date is October 21st, 2020, year of prophecy. And pretty much what I want to do in this lesson, through the Spirit, is address a couple of points on the video that Elder Apostle Hart did concerning that old Japhet, the white man being Japhet, his old breakdown or something like that. And he played some excerpts on the video of that one individual. I'm not sure what his name is, and I kind of wanted to address a couple of points on that and just see where the Spirit takes it from there. I jotted down a couple of precepts based off of some of the things that he said, and want to address that because you have individuals out there that are not spiritual at all. That's why Yahweh asked the disciples, who do the Israelites say that he is? One said he was Elijah, another one said Jeremiah is one of the prophets, so on and so forth. And then he turned to the disciples and said, but who do you say that I am? And the Apostle Peter said, at the time he was a disciple, he said, thou art the anointed, the Son of the living power. And he said, what? Blessed are you, for flesh and blood had not revealed this unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. So you have individuals that are spiritual, that the Lord guides them spiritually, and you have individuals that are carnal and do not have an iota of spirituality in them. All they know is just curriculum. All they know is just carnal things. And we know that the scripture says the carnal mind is enmity with the Most High. So one of the things he did say, he was mentioning the different tribes in so-called Africa, the land of Ham, and he was mentioning how they all have the same DNA. When you check this one and you check that one, you go here and you go there, all up and down the West Coast, and they all have the same DNA and this, that, and the other, blah, 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 the sun, moon, and stars. Well, like I said, they're looking at things carnally, when he said that, the first precept that came to mind was in the book of 1 Timothy, which we're going to get there real quick. And this will probably be a short lesson because, like I said, I really don't have a whole lot. Just a couple of points I wanted to make through the Spirit. This is 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 4. It says neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies. See? So he's going off of that DNA thing that tends to lean towards genealogies. It says neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies. Why was the Apostle Paul saying this? Because back then you had the Israelites, the Jews in Jerusalem, not accepting the Israelites that were scattered among the nations because they didn't have a registry to prove that their lineage went back to Israel. You see? So there was a big controversy with that. That's why the Apostle Paul said, don't even give heed to that endless genealogies. Because Timothy's father, which was an Israelite, was considered to be what? A Greek. But he wasn't an actual Greek, or Edomite Greek, or so-called white man Greek. He was an Israelite that took on his parents and his parents' parents on down the line, took on the Greek philosophies and the Greek customs and the Greek gods, and he stayed in that Greek culture. He never came out of it. So if Timothy was to trace his lineage back, his father's lineage would only go back to those people that were in Greece, those Israelites that were in Greece. And it probably at one point got cut off, so he wouldn't be able to know what his grandfather, down all the way back, great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather, all the way back. So the Apostle Paul said, Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, because that DNA thing, that's pretty much a carnal mindset to these endless genealogies. So, and this is why you have Israelites out there that have mingled among the nations and look like these nations. So right now, there would be, as the scripture says, speckled bird. Israel would be as a speckled bird. Matter of fact, let's get there real quick. Let's go to Jeremiah. Let me see. 12 and 9. That says, "Mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird." You see, there's a precept there. Okay. It says, "The birds round about are against her. Come ye, assemble all. The beasts of the field come to devour." And that's why wherever Israel is, they always get persecuted by these heathen. The brother had told me something last night, but I forgot. And I thought about the scripture in Luke, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, and how the dogs lick the sores, the dogs being these nations. Here it is, Jake don't have much to begin with. They set up shop in your neighborhood, and guess what? They take whatever little bit you have. So that's the dogs licking the sores. So no matter where Israel would be, they would be persecuted, and no matter what they look like. Because when you look up that word speckled, one of the words goes back, or one of the English words is variegated. And when you look up the word variegated, it means many different colors. Because Jake ranges from a dark brown all the way to even looking like Edomites. Blonde hair, blue eyes. It all depends on your father's, who your father is. Now, if no one knew Blake Griffin, him, his father, if they didn't know that the son that he had, that was his son, they will automatically look at that baby as an Edomite. Why? Because of the way he looks. Because they don't have spiritual eyes to see. And that is the point. So now the Lord gathered Israel. There's a speckled bird. They're everywhere on the planet. They look like everybody, right? Some of them have, some of them look like Chinese, Japanese. They have that crazy stringy hair that they have, but they're Israelites. And an individual say, well, if you don't have woolly hair, you're not an Israelite. Well, that's bullshit. What if your forefathers laid down with Edomite women on the regular, and those babies kept coming out lighter and lighter, with the texture of hair of their mother, like Blake Griffin's son. So now, can you imagine Blake Griffin's son getting with an Edomite woman and having a son? Do you know how light that son is going to be? So these guys have no spirituality whatsoever. And let's say down the line, their genealogy gets cut off, and an individual comes into Israel, right? And they say, well, what's your father? So-and-so. And what's his father? So-and-so. So you go to Blake Griffin's son, and they say that's their grandfather or great-grandfather, and they'll be like, oh, well, you're an Edomite. But his father and his father his father's father was a dark-skinned man, a so-called Levite, a Levite, so-called Haitian. So that's why the Apostle Paul said, don't give heed to them endless genealogies. Because how is the Most High searching for Israel right now? The scriptures say that the Lord will search Jerusalem with candles. So how is the Most High searching for Israel right now? Let's go to the book of Baruch. Let's go to the book of Baruch, chapter 4 and verse 36. It says, O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from the Most High. Lo, thy sons come whom thou sentest away. Why? Because the Lord cast us out of that land, and we were scattered among all the different nations, which became known as what? The diaspora. And anyone that has studied anything about the diaspora know that those are the dispersed Israelites. It says, they come gathered together from the east to the west, which we're in the Western Hemisphere now, by what? By their genealogy? By their DNA? It says, by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High. Why? Because when they finally wake up and find out that they're Israelites, they're going to be joyful and happy because they know that the kingdom that's coming and all the greatness that's going to come for us. You see? So they're being gathered not by their DNA, not by their blood type, not by the haplogroup and this and that, 23andMe and all that other crap, not by their genealogy because they have a document or a Bible that links them all the way back to the tribe of Judah or the tribe of Benjamin or the tribe of Ephraim or whatever the case may be. No, they're being gathered by the word. Because if you want to get technical, there's no Israelite that can trace their genealogy back to any of the patriarchs. So this is all being done spiritually, but these guys are carnal because they don't have a spiritual bone in their body. So now, let's go from there. So this gathering that's being done is a spiritual gathering by the words of the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So now let's go from there to the book of Hosea. All right, let's go to the book of Hosea, the 5th chapter. And not everyone is going to get this. You got to remember, the truth is precious. Not everybody's going to accept it. All of Jake did not accept Yahushai back then. So it tends to, you know, if you have a working brain inside your head, it tends to reason that they're not going to accept him now. The majority of people are not going to accept him now. They're not going to accept the message now. So this is the book of Hosea, chapter 5, verse 3. I know Ephraim and Israel is not hid from me. What does that mean? That means no matter on the planet Earth where the tribes are, no matter what they look like, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushai knows exactly what people out there, no matter what they look like, are Israelites. He knows all of their spirits. He's the father of spirits. So he knows all spirits. So if you have somebody that looks like a Cambodian or a so-called Chinese or a so-called Filipino or a so-called Edomite, among the so-called Jews, if their line goes back to one of the tribes of Israel, a so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indian, the Lord already knows where they're at. He already knows who they are. And that's what's so beautiful about this truth in these times, that it's so enigmatic, it's such a puzzle that you really can't keep up with it unless you're a spiritual individual that the Lord graced with the spirit to be spiritual. You see, that's why it's so beautiful, because it's not about genealogy, it's about the spirit that's in all these different people that go back to the Israelites, and they are impossible for them to trace back their lineage back to one of the 12 patriarchs of the nation of Israel. So that's why it's all spiritual now. So let's read that again. Hosea 5 and 3. I know Ephraim and Israel is not hid from me. Meaning that no matter where they are, the Lord knows who they are. No matter what they look like. It says, for now, O Ephraim, thou committest whoredom, and Israel is defiled. But the point is that the Lord knows where all the Israelites are, no matter what they look like. And we have to keep reiterating that, because you have those out there that are not spiritual, and they always look at this thing as a thing of carnality. That's why they always stuck on DNA and genealogy and all of that stuff. And that's why the Apostle Paul told Timothy not to give heed to those endless genealogies, because they minister questions. Let's go back to that. It says, neglect not, 1 Timothy 1 and 4, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. So whatever is of faith, that do. Because everything else is going to minister questions. It's going to bring up, well, what about this, and what about that, and what about this, and that, and the other. And this particular individual went up in there. You know, the Edomites took over this land, and then they went over here, and then you had Hamites over there. You had this guy. The word is doing the sifting. Matter of fact, let's get that. The word is doing the sifting. The Lord is doing the sifting. That's why he said you have the parable of the wheat and the tares. And at the end, what's going to happen? The angels of the Lord are going to come and separate the wheat from the tares. Because you have some wheat that look like tares, and you have some tares that look like wheat. And these guys The wheat that look like tares, they would cast them out because of the way they look, because they don't have a spiritual bone in their body. Their body is spiritual as a wooden nickel. You know? This is Amos chapter 9, verse 9. It says, for lo, I will command. Who's going to command? Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. So the Lord is going to gather his people from among these nations. How? By his word. You're not going to have the teachers going out here with a bunch of books of genealogies, you know, and going to these different states, these different countries, and going to those people, and one by one they come up to you. Let's see, are you on this registry? Who's your father? Nah, they're being gathered by the word. Okay, so it says, for lo, I will command, and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve. Why? Because Israel is scattered among these nations. Yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. So the least of the Israelites is not going to fall. They're all going to be gathered. The scriptures speak about these heathens bringing our sons and our daughters on their shoulders from among these different nations. Because when Yahweh Shai comes back, what did it say? Then that which is in part shall be done away with. Then shall we know as we are known. So then it's going to be known, boom, who the Israelites are. And these nations are going to be bringing our children from all over the world back to Jerusalem. They're going to be like, wow, you know, that you're going to have people out there that thought that they were so-called white, thought that they were so-called Chinese, thought that they were so-called African, and so on and so forth, that are going to wake up and find out that they're Israelites. Then can you imagine the glory and the happiness that would bring? Because this message is causing ruckus, man, throughout the planet. You know, and that's why people are so incensed against it. That's why they're fighting so hard against it, because this word cuts, man. This word causes trouble, man. This word stirs things up. So to hear the message that we're teaching, that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, someone out there that doesn't fit into that category will be upset. But then turn around, some of them finding out that they are Israelites, but they were scattered and they just happen to look like those different nations. Can you imagine the joy that would bring? So that's what the Lord is doing right now. He's sifting and gathering his people from among all these nations. And he said that not the least grain shall not fall to the earth. That's something, man. Now let's go from there to Acts 15 and 8. It says, known unto the Most High are all his works from the beginning of the world. So everything that the Lord has done, all of the people that the Lord has created, he knows everything, everybody. That's why he said, I know Ephraim, Israel is not hid from me. And that's why he said he will search Jerusalem with candles. What are the candles? This knowledge which is the light, this knowledge which is the oil, and it's shining bright. It's a beacon that's shining bright, and it's gathering all of the people of the Lord. But right now, the only ones that are going to be gathered are the elect. And then when the kingdom is established, all of Israel shall be saved. So let's read that again. It says, known to the Most High are all his works from the beginning of the world. So no matter where Israel is at, the Lord knows who they are, no matter what they look like. But you're going to have those individuals that are going to exclude the northern kingdom and say that all Israelites are all black. And that's why the Apostle Paul was breaking it down to the Romans in Romans 11th chapter, because that's what was going on. Because Paul himself was not a Judite, he was a Benjaminite. And that's why he explained that. Because back then the sentiment was only Judah, because you go back to 2 Kings 17, and it says that only the tribe of Judah remained. So in some circles, they'll say that just the Judites can be delivered. So what about Benjamin and Levi? What about Ephraim, Simeon, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, so on and so forth? So let's read that real quick. Romans 11 and 1. I say then, have the Most High cast away his people? Why did he say that? Because you had Israelites back then that were neglecting the northern kingdom, the stragglers, so to speak, or the ones that came back, you know, or that were in that area scattered. But the majority of those Hellenized ones, Hellenistas, were Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And they were casting them off. You got to remember that. You had a lot of Judites, Benjamites, and Levites that were scattered in the Greek diaspora. You know, the Hellenization. And they were being excluded. You see? It says, for I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham of the tribe of Benjamin. Yeah, so I'm not a Jew. I'm a Benjaminite. See? It says, the Most High have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. So the Lord said that can a mother that carried a baby, I'm merely paraphrasing, can a mother that carried a baby, and give birth to that baby forget her suckling son? The Lord said, yeah, she'll forget, but I'm not going to forget you. I have engraved you in the palm of my hand. The Most High told Abraham that his seed, which are the Israelites, is going to be as the sands of the sea, or as the stars of heaven, meaning innumerable. And no matter where they are on the planet, the Lord knows who they are. And he is gathering the elect right now from among them, no matter what they look like. That's why you have individuals, a part of Great Millstone, that look like so-called white men, that look like, the different nations. Why? Because the Lord is gathering that great multitude that was spoken of in the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter, that was spoken of in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 2nd chapter. That's that great multitude. Israelites coming from all different walks of life, from all nations on the planet Earth. And that's what's happening right now, and most individuals can't see it. The Most High have not cast away his people, which he foreknew. What ye not, what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to the Most High against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed the prophets, thy prophets, and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. So it's not just one tribe. There's 12 tribes that had to be brought into this. So that was a big deal back then. It says, but what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself, elected, set apart. I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, a complete number, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. And they're going to be brought from all of these different nations. You see? And that was the message of Yahushua to the Israelite foreigners, which are the scriptures called Gentiles. And that was the same message that the Apostle Peter and them were teaching, but they were mainly teaching the circumcision. And the Apostle Paul was teaching the Israelite foreigners that were scattered. And he was building them up, using the word to build them up, to help them get back to their culture, get back to their language, get back to their nationality. Because you best believe if you get, if you are raised up to be a something, and then you find out different, you're gonna want to eventually know everything that there is to know about that culture, your real culture. And that's what's happening right now. The Israelites are coming back to their culture, and they're being gathered by the word of Yahushua. Now, another point that this guy made, I think we're done with that portion of it. Another argument that he had was that, because we teach, which is the right thing, that Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and that Esau is the so-called white man, which he is, the Edomites. So he's saying that, well, they teach that these were two twin brothers, going back to that DNA thing, two twin brothers, but one was Satan. And the way he was saying it, he said, it has a demonic spirit or demonic influence that came from Isaac, So in other words, he's implying that it's impossible for one man to have two children, one being righteous and the other one being wicked. So the first scripture that came to mind, I was like, huh? So the first scripture that came to mind when he said that is the book of Genesis. So let's go there. Genesis chapter 4 and 1. And Adam knew his wife, and she conceived, and bare who? Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So who was Cain? Cain was wicked. Cain was of that serpent seed. And the sons that came out of him were the sons of the wicked. And he came out of who? Adam and Eve. It says, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. So you had another incident where you had one man and one woman have two children. They weren't twins at this time. One came out being the wicked, and the other one came out being the righteous. So can the Most High do that? Yes. Matter of fact, let's get real quick. This is a scripture that Elder Pastor quoted, Psalms chapter 58. And we're going to go straight to the point. 3. It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. So as soon as they're born, they're strange. And that's what happened with Cain, and that's what happened with Esau. It says the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Why? Because the spirit that's in them is a wicked spirit. You know, you have Israelites, you had righteous Israelites, and you had wicked Israelites. Didn't Yahushua say, have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is the devil? Because Judas Iscariot had a wicked spirit in him. But does that say, oh well, he's not an Israelite? He's still an Israelite, but you can have that. You can have, the Lord can do what he wants to do. And this is where the separation between the good and the evil came through. Because in the beginning, you had Cain and you had Abel. Abel was righteous, Cain was wicked. After the flood, you had those two children in the reincarnation coming back, we believe, as Jacob and Esau, because it makes sense. But when they came back, Jacob and Esau happened to be twins. One happened to be the righteous, and the other one happened to be the wicked. Let's go to Romans, chapter 9, and verse 9. For this is the word of promise. At this time will I come, and Sarah shall have a son. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even by our father Isaac, for the children be it not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of the Most High according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth, because he made one righteous and he made the other one wicked. Now, did any of those children have a say in that? No. Because this is the Most High's will, his power, what he wants to do, what he wants to set up. Here it is, you want to limit the Most High. You want to set boundaries on the Most High. It says, it was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Why did the Most High love Jacob? Because he wanted to. Jacob was the righteous. Why did he hate Esau? Because he wanted to. Esau was the wicked. It says, what shall we say then? Is there unrighteousness with the Most High? The Most High forbid. So because the Most High made one righteous and the other one wicked, is there unrighteousness in him? No, because he creates both sides. He creates the good and he creates the evil. Sometimes individuals tend to forget that the Most High creates both sides. It says, for he saith to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. So it's up to the Lord to do that. It says, so then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth. So it doesn't matter who wants to do it or who's running to do it. It says, but of the Most High that showeth mercy, because it's the Most High's choice. It's Yahweh's choice. He does what he wants to do. It says, for the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, and that my name might be declared throughout all the earth. Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will he hardeneth. Thou wilt then say unto me, why doth he yet find fault? For who has resisted his will? So how can the Most High have fault and charge Esau to be destroyed, the Edomites, when the Most High was the one that made that decision? Because it's the Most High's will. For who has resisted his will? No one can resist the will of the Most High. He's going to do what he wants to do. He has a plan. This is not our plan. This is his plan. He's going to execute it the way he sees fit, the way he already planned it. But here it is, you're going to have an individual that's going to limit the Most High. That's going to tell the Most High, no, you can't do that, you can't do this. You know? Putting the Most High in the box. Dudes are crazy, man. So let's go back to Psalms 58. It says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth the ear. So the Most High can cause one man to have different children, and he could have one to be the righteous or many to be the righteous, and he could have one of them to be the wicked. But this guy's stuck on DNA. He got DNA on the brain. Now let's go back to Genesis 4:1. It says, and Adam knew Eve, his wife, and as she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. And then she had she had Abel. So Cain was the wicked, Abel was the righteous, right? They both brought a offering to the Lord. Abel brought the regular offering of animal sacrifices. Cain brought fruit. So Cain was being wicked even in that. So when he saw that the Most High had favor unto Abel and to his offering, he rose up and slew him. But before he rose up and slew him, what did the Lord say? No, I'm sorry. After he slew him, then he lied. So this is what the Lord told him. Verse 9, and the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground, because the spirit of Abel went straight before the Father and let him know what went down, which the Most High already knew what was going down anyway. And now art thou cursed from the earth. And Esau is cursed from the earth, just like Cain was cursed from the earth. Cain, when you read Genesis, the 4th chapter, from about the 16th verse down, you have what's known as the seed of the wicked. Then when you read Genesis, the 5th chapter, is the seed of the righteous, or the seed of the sons of God. When you go into Genesis, the 6th chapter. Okay? So it says, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. See, so he's going to be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And this is Esau, the so-called white man, has been the biggest fugitive and vagabond on the planet Earth. A fugitive is one that's fleeing from justice. They have never been charged with justice. Justice has never been served, for the Israelites or the other nations for what Esau did to them. So he's a fugitive from justice, which the Lord said he would not at all acquit the wicked. It says, and a vagabond means a traveler going from one place to the other. Who does that more than this so-called white man? They're in everybody's country. They have over 800, in some circles they say 1,000 military bases around the world. 200 of them are are clandestine, and they're in everybody's business, trying to get everybody's resources. So they're that vagabond and that fugitive. It says, and Cain said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Salakia, I was right. The Lord said this to Cain before. Let's go to the 6th verse. And the Lord said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, see, if you do the right thing, which he wasn't able to do. Why? Because he was the wicked. It says, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? Yes, your sacrifices will be accepted if you did the right thing. You knew what to do, but you didn't do it. The wicked are estranged from the womb. Shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest well, sin. And if thou doest not well, if you don't do the right thing, sin lieth at the door. So pretty much sin is lying at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Meaning you would have been able to rule over Satan. But you didn't do the right thing because it wasn't in your makeup to do the right thing. Therefore you are who? The wicked. So the Lord gave a wicked son and a righteous son to Adam and Eve. So is the Most High wrong for doing that? No. the Most High's will is going to stand. Now let's go to the last precept I have, 1 John, the 3rd chapter. And because this is a precept that came to mind after Genesis came to mind. This 1 John 3 and 12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one. So did not he come out of the loins of Adam and the bowels of Eve? Did not Abel also come out from both of them? But one was righteous and the other one was wicked. This guy's acting as if the Most High can't do that. He's acting as if the Most High can't make one son to be righteous and the other one to be wicked, and to separate them. And like Elder Pastor brought out in his lesson, there's a reason why there was such a struggle in the womb, because there were two opposing forces in there, two different spirits, one righteous and one wicked, and they couldn't stand each other, so they were going to blows. And there had to be something for Rebecca to inquire of that, which means she wasn't able to sleep, because as long as them babies were in there, they were going to town, man. They were lumping each other up. So let's read that again. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother is righteous. So, come on, man. This guy is not spiritual at all. It's all about DNA. It's all about genealogy with these guys. They don't have a spiritual bone in their body. Now, the last precept to close this out is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 2, and verse 14. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High. And that's why he can't receive it, because he's a natural man. He's carnal. You know, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. So if the Lord doesn't open up your spiritual mind, you're not going to be able to spiritually discern. And that's where a lot of these individuals are caught up in. You know, and like Elder Pastor said, yeah, that whole so-called white man is of the seed of Japheth. That's old tired doctrine. That is not the truth. Because when you go into archaeology, you check out the Etruscans. The Etruscans were so-called dark-skinned people, and they were of the seed of Japheth. You have the Mediterranean Sea, and in the Mediterranean Sea you had different islands, which were inhabited by Japhetic people. You have a people called the Minoans. The Minoans in art are brown-skinned people, which look just like the so-called Polynesian people, because the so-called Polynesian people are the seed of Japheth. Now in art, when they paint art of the Minoans, you have the men that were painted brown skin, and you had the women that were painted white. And the reason that was done was to distinguish between the men and the women. That's why they painted the women white and they painted the men brown. But the women were also brown, just like the men were brown. Minoans, Japhetic people, not no so-called white people. All right. So let's finish out here. 1 Corinthians 2 and 15. It says, but he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judge of no man. For who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Yahushua, and that's why we're able to see through the spirit and power of Yahushua. So reading the 14th verse again, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of the Most High, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. And that's why this individual can't see it, because it's not spiritually discerned. Anytime you hear somebody talk about, you know, genealogy, DNA and all that stuff, that person is not spiritual, because they're looking at this thing in a carnal manner. And the Lord is searching for his elect of the nation of Israel by his word, and it's waking up those of his that are scattered all over the place, no matter what they look like. But if you look so-called white or any other nation, what's going to happen is they're going to say that you're an Edomite or you're a Moabite or an Ammonite or a Hamite or whatever the case is, because they don't have a spiritual bone in their body. They are not spiritually discerned. So with that, I pray that your brothers have been edified. To the next time I say, Shalom.